In today's video, Governor J.B. Pritzker flat out lies on MSNBC about Trump's use of the National Guard as gang leaders openly put bounties on federal agents' heads in the city of Chicago. That and Mayor Brandon Johnson is silent after one basic question from a reporter. That and more, so stay tuned.
Well, the real Chicagoans that I talk to, that I communicate with, mostly black and brown, actually, tell me that you don't seem to know the difference between illegal aliens and real Chicago citizens. They feel that you are siding with the illegal aliens over them in their communities. And okay. Sadly,
William, let's get to the question.
Let's get to the question. The real question is simply this. I don't know how to make it any more direct. An illegal alien from Nicaragua grabbed a woman on the north side last week, bashed her head into the sidewalk, knocked her unconscious, and raped her. If that had been your wife, Stacey.
Okay, all right, we're not going to answer that. Thank you. Thanks, William.
All right.
Would you want ICE to deport her?
All right.
To
Let's move on.
Yes or no?
Let's move on.
Answer the question as a man, not as mayor, but as a man. Would you want
thanks. Thank you.
ICE to deport that rapist?
All right. Taman?
Okay.
Mayor.
That's the answer. That's the answer for real Chicago.
Mayor, sorry.
This is a sickness that's spreading through these liberal-run cities. The problem isn't just crime, it's the mindset behind it. Leaders like Brandon Johnson refuse to even call out evil for what it is. They can't even bring themselves to say that a murderer is a murderer. And that's how a city starts to rot from the inside out. They've traded accountability for ideology, and they've replaced law and order with optics and feelings. And the result isn't progress, it's just decay. And that sickness doesn't stop at the city level. It runs straight up to the governor's office, because while Chicago is falling apart under its own weight, Governor Pritzker is on national television trying to spin his own narrative. Instead of addressing the chaos in his own backyard, he's on MSNBC lying about Trump's use of the National Guard, twisting the facts to make himself look like he's the voice of reason. Let's check this out.
Let me ask you just first about this call to your fellow governors around the country. What are you asking them to do here to support you?
Well, let's start with we should stand as one against the idea that Donald Trump has the ability to call up our National Guard against our will. I want to remind you that just last year, Joe Biden tried to call up National Guard, federalize them, to take Air National Guard and move them into the Space Force. And all 50 governors signed onto a letter, including, I might add, Greg Abbott from Texas, saying that it was improper for the President of the United States to call on governors to either send their National Guard or to federalize the National Guard so that the President could use them however he wanted to. Now, this year, of course, Greg Abbott is a tool of Donald Trump. He's his lackey, and he is, in fact, doing exactly what Donald Trump wants and going against exactly what Greg Abbott said he would do last year. So this is a problem. The National Governors Association, under Governor Stitt from Oklahoma, who's chair, seems unwilling to stand with the rest of us governors, Governor Kotek, Governor Newsom, and others, to prevent Trump from taking our National Guard, federalizing them, and then using them either against us or against other states.
Today, you sued to try to get a federal judge to block that deployment. It seems like we're going to have what will amount to a substantive hearing on that matter on Thursday, but here it is Monday night. It seems like in the meantime, there is reporting that some 200 Texas National Guard members are expected to fly to Chicago on military aircraft tonight. I know this is a very short-term question, but what is your plan in the short term for this interim period where you may have federalized National Guard troops on the ground before the court has actually ruled?
Well, the judge did warn the federal lawyers that if, in fact, they brought those National Guard and put them on the streets, that would be a really bad idea because there may be a ruling against them in just a couple of days. And I might add that if they do deploy them to the streets and then they are ruled against, I mean, how embarrassing to have to turn tail and run back to Texas 2 days after you've arrived in Chicago. So we'll see what they do. It would be improper for them to be deployed before there is a ruling, and we think that there will be a ruling on Thursday.
Good old JB. You can't believe 2 words that come out of his mouth, because he's going to try and take the actual facts and manipulate them to fit his narrative by omitting key pieces of information, or he'll just flat out lie. And on MSNBC, they'll let him do it. What Biden was trying to do versus what Trump and, mind you, every other president is allowed to do, they are 2 completely different things. But what good old JB is doing is using that as the base of his argument in order to make it look like he's right when he's speaking about how much Trump is overreaching with his authority. But the comparison falls apart the second you separate what's actually happening from what he wants you to believe. The reason why governors in a bipartisan effort pushed back against what Biden was attempting to do was because it would be permanent. And what he's invoking to rally all of the governors against Trump is, it's entirely different. Temporary federal activation of the National Guard has been a law that has existed for quite some time now. And it has given every president that authority to be able to use them, activate them for a defined mission. Now, you can argue whether or not a given activation is wise, but it's not the same as stripping states permanently of their units. And beyond that, why you can't believe anything that comes out of his mouth is because, let me bring this up real quick, because you know I like to share the information I find with you guys. And beyond that, good old JB knows that Abbott didn't sign the letter. He was only 2 of the U.S. governors who didn't sign it, along with Florida's governor. But what he did do, this is what he did. Give me a moment. He sent his own letter. He wrote his own letter, separate, but let JB spin it how he wants. And while he's busy out here trying to spin this false narrative, here's why you can't take him serious or believe him about anything he's saying about Chicago. He's out there insisting that the city doesn't need the National Guard and claiming that Trump is the problem. Meanwhile, you got a gang leader, and I'm sure there are more out here who are doing this. They just weren't as dumb as this idiot, who are placing bounties on federal agents' heads. And on that, he's silent. No outrage, no urgency, just politics. Take a look at the clip.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you got gang bangers that are running the streets of Chicago on a day-to-day basis. I haven't heard a press conference from this governor on how he's going to combat crime. Meanwhile, you got Border Patrol agents, ICE agents that are under attack right now. Literally, there's a bounty that was released. Juan Espinoza Martinez, they got his screenshots off his Snapchat because he thought it was just going to disappear. They got him in custody now, but he was releasing that he was willing to pay, and he works for the cartel, of course, $2K on info on these agents, and then $10K if you take them down. Now, what he means by taking them down is assassinating them.
Yeah, you heard the governor talk about Greg Bovino. If you don't know who he is, he's the chief patrol agent. And DHS is saying that this guy who you're talking about, Lawrence, allegedly placed a bounty on the commander-at-large of the Border Patrol chief, and that's Gregory Bovino. He was on with Sean last night talking about this issue. He says that this guy, this 37-year-old Chicago resident, Juan Espinoza Martinez, was charged with murder for hire. He was arrested yesterday. He is a ranking member of the Latin Kings, which is a gang known for violent crimes and drug trafficking across Chicago. He's from Mexico. He came to the United States illegally. And yes, on Snapchat, he was offering thousands of dollars if you take down Bovino. And he put a picture of Bovino on there.
Right, there you go. And by the way, who are the thugs? According to the governor, the thugs are the ones wearing bulletproof vests right there. And the guy in the middle, Latin Kings, I guess the governor's fine with that, because these guys are running wild throughout Chicago, are really thriving for the last 20 years, but they don't want any help.
And so, yeah, you got this idiot who he went on social media and posted this and thought that because it was deleted that, well, nobody was going to see it and find out. But once you post something to the internet, it is forever. But the Democratic leadership in Chicago, they don't have a problem. They don't see a problem with gangs pretty much being staples in their city. Listen, I don't think it's ever a good age to be associated with a gang, but 37 years old and you still are associated with a gang has got to be the lamest thing that you could do. JB doesn't call these guys thugs. No. The agents who are trying to actually clean up the streets, those are the ones he refers to as thugs.
Now we swing over to Illinois, where the governor, Pritzker, is speaking out about President Trump deploying the National Guard to his state. Listen.
Troops marching in their streets. When it comes to public safety, they want civilian law enforcement when they need them, and jobs, and after-school programs for kids in the neighborhoods. They do not want Donald Trump to occupy their communities. Then the Trump invasion began. Since ICE and CBP announced their operations on September 8th, our people have been subjected to violence, intimidation, and harassment. They have struck fear in our communities, including notably fear in the hearts of U.S. citizens. Trump and the thuggery that his agents have brought has actively made us less safe. Less than a week later, on September 12th, ICE shot and killed a man in Franklin Park, a nearby suburb of Chicago.
There you go again. Don't put JB in front of a camera, a mic, and an audience. He's going to give you a spin job. The shooting he loves to refer to in Franklin Park is still under investigation pending. The DHS says the officer was being dragged by the man in the vehicle who was an illegal immigrant, and so he fired his weapon. And so we could let all the facts come out and let that play out, but, you know, put JB in front of a mic and a camera, and he called that a good time to tell a lie. But guys, let me hear back from you. Leave your thoughts, comments down below. Don't forget you enjoyed the content. Make sure to hit the like for more, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for the next video. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson drops a bombshell. Schumer never wanted anybody to find out. So that's coming up next.